Hello, good day everyone. We are the group 6 and we are going to tackle and report the topic 6 entitled Statistical Inference of Two Samples. And these are the members of this group, Dairoka Stephen Jan, Magdadaro Jerome, and yours truly, Ungab Jano. The content outline of these particular topics are inference on the difference in means of two normal distribution variance known. Inference of the difference in means of two normal distributions, variance unknown. Inference on the variance of two normal distributions, and inference of two populations proportions. Statistical inference is the process of using a sample to infer the properties of a population. Statistical procedures use sample data to estimate the characteristics of the whole population from which the sample was drawn. Unfortunately, populations are usually too large to measure fully. Consequently, researchers must use a manageable subset of the population to learn about it. By using procedures that can make statistical inference, you can estimate the properties and processes of a population. More especially, sample statistics can estimate population's parameters. Inference on the difference in means of two normal distributions, variance known. In this section, we consider statistical inference on the difference in means of two normal distributions, where the variance and are known. The assumptions for these sections are summarized as follows. Let x sub 1, x sub 2, and to x sub n be a random sample from population 1. Let x sub 1, x sub 2, and x sub n be a random sample from population 2. The two populations x sub 1 and x sub 2 are independent. Both x sub 1 and x sub 2 are normal. A logical point estimator of its difference in sample means based on the properties of expected values. Expected values min 1 minus min 2 is equal to expected values of x bar 1 minus expected value of x bar 2 or equal to mu 1 minus mu 2. And the variance of it is variance of min 1 minus min 2 is equal to variance of min 1 plus variance of min 2 is equal to variance 1 over n sub 1 plus variance 2 over n sub 2. Based on the assumptions, the preceding results, we may state the following. The quantity x bar 1 minus x bar 2 minus z sub alpha times the square root of variance 1 over n sub 1 plus variance 2 over n sub 2 is less than or equal to mu 1 minus mu 2. Hypothesis test on the difference in means variance known. We now consider the hypothesis testing on the difference in the means mu 1 minus mu 2 of the two normal populations. So suppose that we are interested in testing the difference of means mu 1 minus mu 2 is equal to specified value delta sub 0. Thus, the null hypothesis will be stated mu 1 minus mu 2 is equal to delta sub 0. Obviously, in many cases, we will specify delta sub 0 is equal to 0 so that we are testing the equality of two means. The appropriate test statistic would be found by replacing mu 1 minus mu 2 in equation. And this test statistic would have a standard normal distribution under null hypothesis. That is, the standard normal distribution is the reference distribution for the test statistic. Suppose that the alternative hypothesis is mu 1 minus mu 2 is not equal to delta sub 0. Now, a sample value of x bar 1 minus x bar 2 that is considerably different from delta sub 0 is evidence that alternative hypothesis is true because test statistic has the n of 0 and 1 distribution. When null hypothesis is true, we would take negative z sub alpha over 2 and positive z alpha over 2 as the boundaries of the critical region, just we did in the single sample hypothesis testing problem. This would give a test with level of significance alpha. Critical regions for the one-sided alternatives would be located similarly. Formally, we summarize these results below. Null hypothesis or mu 1 minus mu 2 is equal to delta sub 0 and test statistic is equal to min 1 minus min 2 minus delta sub 0 all over the square root of variance 1 over n sub 1 plus variance 2 over n sub 2. And this is the table. Example, paint drying time. A product developer is interested in reducing the drying time of a premier paint. Two formulations of the paints are tested. For formulation 1 is the standard chemistry, and formulation 2 has a new drying ingredient that should reduce the drying time. From experience, it is known the standard deviation of drying time is 8 minutes, and this inherent variability should be unaffected by the addition of the new ingredient. 10 specimens are painted with formulation 1, and another 10 specimens are painted with formulation 2. The 20 specimens are painted random order. The two samples' average drying times are min 1 is equal to 121 minutes and min 2 is equal to 112 minutes. Respectively, what conclusion can the product developer draw about the effectiveness of the new ingredient using alpha is equal to 0.05? We apply the 7 steps procedure to this problem as follows. Number 1, parameters of interest. The quantity of interest in the difference in mean drying times, min 1 minus min 2 and delta sub 0 is equal to 0. Number 2, non-hypothesis. Mu1 minus mu2 is equal to 0 or mu1 is equal to mu2. Alternative hypothesis, mu1 is greater than mu2. We want to reject null hypothesis if the new ingredient reduces mean drying time. Number 4, test statistic. The test statistic is x bar 1 minus x bar 2 minus 0 all over the square root of variance 1 over n sub 1 plus variance 2 over n sub 2, where variance 1 is equal to variance 2 or equal to 8. 8 squared is equal to 64, and n sub 1 and n sub 2 is equal to 10. Step 5, reject null hypothesis if reject hypothesis mu1 is equal to mu2 if the p-values is less than 0.05. And step 6, the computations. Since x bar 1 is equal to 121 minutes and x bar 2 is equal to 112 minutes, the test statistic is substitute to the formula 121 minus 112 all over the variance 1 is equal to 8 to the power of 2 all over 10 plus the variance 2, 8 to the power of 2 plus over 10. The conclusions. Since test statistic is equal to 2.52, the p-value is 1 minus the 2.52 is equal to 0.0059. So we reject null hypothesis at the alpha is equal to 0.05 level. We conclude that adding the new ingredients to the paint significantly reduces the drying time. This is a strong conclusion. Type 2 error and choice of a sample size. Use the operating characteristic curves. This is the formula. One-sided alternative is equal to D equal to mu1 minus mu2. The absolute mu1 minus mu2 is minus the delta sub 0 all over the square root of variance 1 plus variance 2. Or simply equal to delta minus delta sub 0 all over the square root of variance 1 plus variance 2. And the two-sided alternative is equal to mu1 minus mu2 minus delta sub 0 all over the square root of variance 1 plus variance 2. Sample size formulas. For the two-sided alternative hypothesis with significance level alpha, the sample size n sub 1 is equal to n sub 2 and equal to n, required to detect a true difference in means of delta with power at least 1 minus beta. And this is the equation below. For a one-sided alternative hypothesis with significance level alpha, the sample size n sub 1 is equal to n sub 2 equal to n, required to detect a true difference in means of delta with power at least 1 minus beta. And this is the equation below. For example, consider the paint drying time experiment, for example 10.1. If the true difference in means drying times is as much as 10 minutes, find the sample sizes required to detect a difference with probability at least 0.90. The appropriate values of the Absicka parameter is since delta sub 0 is equal to 0 and delta is equal to 10, therefore, the formula we use is the absolute mu1 minus mu2 all over the square root of variance 1 plus variance 2. Then, we substitute the given values to the formula equal to 10 all over the square root of 8 squared plus 8 squared. And it is equal to 0.88. And since the direction probability of a power of this test must be at least 0.9 with alpha is equal to 0.05, we find the appendix chart that n is equal to n sub 1 is equal to n sub 2, or approximately equal to 11. If and are the means of independent random samples of sizes n sub 1 and n sub 2 from two independent normal populations with known variance, and respectively a 100 times 1 minus alpha % confidence interval for mu1 minus mu2 is population min 1 minus population min 2 minus z sub alpha over 2 times the square root of variance 1 over n sub 1 plus variance 2 over n sub 2 is less than or equal to mu1 minus mu2 and less than and equal to population 1 minus population 2 plus z sub positive alpha over 2 times the square root of variance 1 over n sub 1 plus variance 2 over n sub 2, where positive z sub alpha over 2 is upper and a over 2 percentage point of the standard normal distribution. Choice of sample size. If the standard deviation 1 and 2 are known, and the two sample sizes n sub 1 and n sub 2 are equal, n sub 1 is equal to n sub 2 is equal to n, we can determine the sample size required so that the error in estimating mu1 minus mu2 by population min 1 minus population min 2 will be less than at 100 the quantity of 1 minus alpha % confidence. The required sample size from each population is the equation. Remember to round up if n is not an integer. This ensures the level of confidence does not drop below. One-sided confidence bands on mu1 minus mu2 may also be obtained. A 100 the quantity 1 minus alpha % upper confidence band on sample min 1 minus sample min 2 is the equation below. For upper confidence bound, sample min 1 minus min 2 is less than or equal to population min minus population 2 plus z sub alpha times the square root of variance 1 over n sub 1 plus variance 2 over n sub 2. For lower confidence bound, population min 1 minus min 2 minus z sub alpha all, times the square root of variance 1 over n sub 1 plus variance 2 over n sub 2 is less than or equal to mu1 minus mu2. Inference of the difference in means of two normal distributions, variance unknown. We now extend the results of the previous section to the difference in means of the two distributions. When the variance of both distributions are unknown, if the sample sizes n sub 1 and n sub 2 exceed 40, the normal distribution procedures in section 10.1 could be used. However, when small samples are taken, we will assume the populations are normally distributed and base our hypothesis test and confidence intervals on the t-distribution. This nicely parallels the case of inference on the mean of a single sample with unknown variance. For case 1, variance 1 is equal to variance 2 is equal to variance we wish to test. Null hypothesis mu1 minus mu2 is equal to delta sub 0, and alternative hypothesis mu1 minus mu2 is not equal to delta sub 0. The Pohl estimator is equal to the quantity of n sub 1 minus 1 times the Pohl estimator plus n sub 2 minus 1 times the Pohl estimator all over the n sub 1 plus n sub 2 minus 2. It is easy to see the Pohl estimator can be written as in this equation. When 0 is less than the W and equal less than or equal to 1, thus the Pohl estimator is a weighted average of the two sample variance, Pohl estimator 1 and Pohl estimator 2, where the weights W and 1 minus W depends on the two sample sizes n sub 1 and n sub 2. Obviously, if n sub 1 is equal to n sub 2 equal to n, W is equal to 0.5. And the pool estimator is just a arithmetic average of S sub 1 and S sub 2. If N sub 1 is equal to 10 and N sub 2 is equal to 20, W is equal to 0.32 and 1 minus W is equal to 0.68. The first sample contributes N sub 1 minus 1 degrees of freedom to pool estimators, and second sample contributes N sub 2 minus 1 degrees of freedom. Therefore, the pool estimator has N sub 1 plus N sub 2 minus 2 degrees of freedom. Now we know that Z is equal to population mean minus population mean 2 minus the quantity of sample mean 1 minus sample mean 2 all over the standard deviation times the square root of 1 over N sub 1 plus 1 over N sub 2 has a N of 0 and 1 distributions, replacing standard deviation by pool estimator gives the following. T is equal to population mean 1 minus population mean 2 minus the quantity of sample mean 1 minus sample mean 2 all over the pool estimator times the square root of 1 over N sub 1 plus 1 over N sub 2 has a T distribution with N sub 1 plus N sub 2 minus 2 degrees of freedom. Therefore, the null hypothesis is equal to mu1 minus mu2 is equal to delta sub 0. The test statistic is equal to the population mean 1 minus population mean 2 minus delta sub 0 all over the pool estimator times the square root of 1 over N sub 1 plus N 1 minus 1 over N sub 2 and the table below. Example of a hypothesis test of the difference in means variance unknown. Cement hydrations. An article in the journal Hazardous Waste and Hazardous Materials reported the results of analysis of the weight of calcium in standard cement and cement dubbed in with lead. Reduced levels of calcium would indicate that the hydration mechanisms in the cement is blocked, which would allow water to attack various locations in the cement structure. 10 samples of standard cement had the average weight percent calcium of population mean 1 is equal to 90.0 with a sample standard deviation of 5.0, while 15 samples of the lead wrap cement had an average weight percent calcium of mean 2 is equal to 87 with a sample standard deviation of 4. We will assume that weight percent calcium is normally distributed and find a 95% confidence interval on the difference. And this is the solution below for this particular example. We're proceeding to case 2. Variance 1 is not equal to variance 2. If null hypothesis is equal to mu1 minus mu2 is equal to delta sub 0 is true, the statistic T sub 0 is equal to particular mean 1 minus particular mean 2 minus delta sub 0 all over the square root of standard deviation 1 over N sub 1 plus standard deviation 2 over N sub 2 is distributed as T with degrees of freedom given by this equation. For case 1, to develop the confidence interval for the difference in means mu1 minus mu2 when both variances are equal, note the distribution of the statistic. X bar 1 minus X bar 2 minus the quantity of mu1 minus mu2 all over the pool estimator times the square root of 1 over N sub 1 plus 1 over N sub 2 is the T distribution with N sub 1 plus N sub 2 minus 2 degrees of freedom. Therefore, the probability is negative T sub alpha over 2. N sub 1 plus N sub 2 minus 2 is less than or equal to T or less than or equal to T alpha sub 2. N sub 1 plus N sub 2 minus 2 is equal to 1 minus alpha. If X bar 1 and X bar 2 and standard deviation 1 and standard deviation 2 are the sample means and variance of two random samples of sizes N sub 1 and N sub 2 respectively from two independent normal population with unknown but equal variance, then a 100 times the quantity of 1 minus alpha percent confidence interval on the difference of means mu1 minus mu2 is where the pool estimator is the pool the common population standard deviation, and T sub alpha over 2 n sub 1 plus n sub 2 minus 2 is the upper alpha over 2 percentage point of the T distribution with n sub 1 plus n sub 2 minus 2 degrees of freedom. And the second reporter for this group is Jerome Magdadaro.
Hello everyone, my name is Jerome Magdadaro and I will be discussing the inference on the variances of two normal distributions. So we now introduced tests and confidence intervals for the two population variances. We will assume that both populations are normal. Both the hypothesis testing and confidence interval procedures are relatively sensitive to the normality assumption. So, under F distribution, suppose that two independent normal populations are of interest, where the population means and variances, say, mean 1 and variance 1, mean 2 and variance 2 are unknown. We wish to test the hypothesis about the equality of two variances, say null hypothesis, variance 1 is equals to variance 2. Assume that two random variables of size n sub 1 from the population 1 of size n sub 2 from population 2 are available. Let pooled estimator 1 and pooled estimator 2 be the sample variances, and we wish to test the hypothesis. Null hypothesis, variance 1 is equals to variance 2. Alternative hypothesis, variance 1 is not equals to variance 2. The development of a test procedure for this hypothesis requires a new probability distribution, the F distribution. The random variable f is defined to be the ratio of two independent chi-square random variables, each divided by its number of degrees of freedom, that is, f is equal to w over u over y over v, where w and y are independent chi-square random variables, with u and v are as degrees of freedom, respectively. We now formally state the sampling distribution of f. So, let w and y be independent chi-square random variables with u and v degrees of freedom. So f is equals to w over u and y over v. Has the probability density function shown in this figure? The formula is shown in the screen. And I said to follow the distribution with u degrees of freedom in the numerator and v degrees of freedom in the denominator. It is usually abbreviated as f sub u and v. So let x sub 11, x 12, x sub 12, and x sub n 1 be a random sample from a normal population with mean 1 and variance 1. And let x sub 21, x sub 22 to x sub 22 and 2 be a random sample from a second normal population with mean 2 and variance 2. Assume that both normal populations are independent. Let pooled estimator 1 and pooled estimator 2 be the sample variances. Then the ratio f is equal to pooled estimator 1 over variance 1 over pooled estimator 2 over variance 2. As an f distribution with n sub 1 minus 1 numerator degrees of freedom and n sub 2 minus 1 denominator degrees of freedom. This result is based on the fact that n sub 1 minus 1 pooled estimator 1 over variance 1 is a chi-square random variable with n sub 1 minus 1 degrees of freedom, that n sub 2 minus 1 pooled estimator 2 over variance 2 is a chi-square random variable with n sub 2 minus 1 degrees of freedom, and that the two normal populations are independent. Clearly, under the null hypothesis, variance 1 is equals to variance 2. The ratio test statistic is equals to the ratio f sub 0 is equals to pooled estimator 1 over pooled estimator 2 has an f sub n1 minus 1 n2 minus 1 distribution. This is the basis of the following test procedure. So, null hypothesis is equals to variance 1 is equals to variance 2. Hypothesis test on the ratio of two variances. So, null hypothesis is variance 1 is equals to variance 2. Test statistic is equal to fold estimator 1 over fold estimator 2. So the alternative hypothesis and rejection criterion are shown on the screen. Example 10. Oxide layers on a semiconductor wafers are etched in a mixture of gases to achieve the proper thickness. The variability in the thickness of these oxide layers is a critical characteristic of the wafer, and low variability is desirable for a subsequent processing steps. Two different mixtures of gases are being studied to determine whether one is superior in reducing the variability of the oxide thickness. 20 wafers are etched in each gas. The sample standard deviations of oxide thickness are S sub 1 is equals to 1.96 angstroms and S sub 2 is equals to 2.13 respectively. Is there any evidence to indicate that either gas is preferable? Use alpha equals 0.05. So these are the steps to solve the problem as follows. So null hypothesis, variance to 1 is equals to variance to alpha 0.05. So we use the test statistic in equation 1029. So in the example, we use the test statistic fold estimator 1 over fold estimator 2. So fold estimator 1 is equals to 3.84 and fold estimator 2 is equals to 4.54 divided is equals to 0.85. Conclusions. Since F sub 0.975 19 and 19 is equals to 0.40 is less than F sub 0 is equals to 0.85 is less than F sub 0.025 19 and 19 is equals to 2.53. We cannot reject the null hypothesis at the 0.05 level of significance. Therefore, there is no strong evidence to indicate that either gas results in a smaller variance of oxide thickness. So we're now in the type 2 error and choice of sample size. For that F test given in section 10 for A equals 0.05 and A is equals to 0.01, assuming that N sub 1 is equals to N sub 2 equals N, charts 7O and 7P are used with two-sided alternative hypothesis. They plot B against the abscissa parameter lambda is equals to standard deviation 1 over standard deviation 2. For the various N sub 1 is equals to N sub 2 equals N, chart 7Q and 7R are used for the one-sided alternative hypothesis. So example 10, for the semiconductor wafer oxide etching problem in the previous example, suppose that one gas resulted in a standard deviation of oxide thickness that is half the standard deviation of oxide thickness of the other gas. We wish to detect such a situation with probability at least 0.80 is the sample size N sub 1 is equals to N sub 2 is equals to 20 adequate. So by referring to the chart 7O with N1 and N2 is equals to 20 and lambda is equals to 2, we find that beta is equal to or approximately 0.20. Therefore, beta is equal to 0.20. The power of the test, which is the probability that the difference in standard deviations will be detected by the test, is 0.80. And we conclude that the sample sizes N1 and N2 are equals to 20 are adequate. Confidence interval on the ratio of two variances. If fold estimator 1 and fold estimator 2 are the sample variances of random sample sizes N sub 1 and N sub 2 respectively, from two independent normal populations with unknown variances 1 and variance 2, then a 100 times 1 over alpha percent confidence interval on the ratio is denoted by this limit, where F sub alpha over 2 N sub 2 minus 1 N sub 1 minus 1 and F sub 1 minus alpha over 2 N sub 2 minus 1 and N sub 1 minus 1 are the upper and lower alpha over 2 percentage points of the F distribution, with N sub 2 minus 1 as numerator and N sub 1 minus 1 as the denominator degrees of freedom respectively. A confidence interval and the ratio of the standard deviations can be obtained by taking square roots. The next reporter of the inference on two population proportions is discussed by Mr. Stephen John Dairocas.
Good day, everyone. Good day, ma'am. I'm Stephen John Derocas, and I will be reporting the topic inference on two population proportions. We now consider the case where there are two binomial parameters of interest, say p sub 1 and p sub 2, and we wish to draw inference about these proportions. We will present large sample hypothesis testing and confidence interval procedures based on normal approximation to the binomial. Large sample test on the difference in population proportions. Suppose that two independent random sample sizes n sub 1 and n sub 2 are taken from two populations, and let x sub 1 and x sub 2 represent the number of observations that belong to the class of interest in sample 1 and 2, respectively. Furthermore, suppose that the normal approximation to the binomial is applied to each population. So the estimators of the population proportions p sub 1 equals x sub 1 over n sub 1 and p sub 2 equals x sub 2 over n sub 2 have approximate normal distributions. We have interested in testing the hypothesis. Null hypothesis p1 equals p2. Alternative hypothesis p sub 1 is not equal to p sub 2. The statistic formula are shown in the screen. Null hypothesis equals p sub 1 equals p sub 2. Test statistics equals sample proportion 1 minus sample proportion 2 over the square root of sample proportion of 1 minus sample proportion multiplied by 1 over n sub 1 plus 1 over n sub 2 is distributed approximately n of 0 and 1. A pooled estimator of common parameter is sample proportion equals x sub 1 plus x sub 2 over n sub 1 plus n sub 2. The test statistics for null hypothesis p sub 1 equals p sub 2 is sample proportion 1 minus sample proportion 2 over the square root of sample proportion of 1 minus sample proportion multiplied by 1 over n sub 1 plus 1 over n sub 2. This leads to the test procedure described below. This is the table of alternative hypothesis p-value rejection criterion for fixed level test. Example: an article in the April 18, 2001 issue of the Journal of the American Medical Association, Effectiveness of St. John's Wort on Major Depression. A randomized controlled trial compared the efficacy of a standard extract of St. John Wort with a placebo in 200 outpatients diagnosed with major depression. Patients were randomly assigned to two groups. One group received the St. John's Wort and the other received the placebo. After 8 weeks, 19 of the placebo-treated patients showed improvement, whereas 27 of those treated with St. John's Wort. After 8 weeks, 19 of the placebo-treated patients showed improvement, whereas 27 of those treated with St. John's Wort improved. Is there any reason to believe that St. John's Wort is effective in treating major depression? Use alpha equals 0.05. The 7-step hypothesis testing procedure leads to the following result. First, parameter of interest. The parameters of interest are p sub 1 and p sub 2. The proportion patients who improve following treatment with St. John's Wort p sub 1 or the placebo p sub 2. Second, null hypothesis equals to p sub 1 equals p sub 2. Third, alternative hypothesis. P sub 1 is not equal to P sub 2. And fourth is we use test statistics where the formula is shown in the screen, where sample proportion 1 is equal to 27 over 100 or 0.27. sample proportion 2 equals 19 over 100 or 0.19. N sub 1 equals N sub 2 equals 100 and sample proportion x sub 1 plus x sub 2 over n sub 1 plus n sub 2 equals 19 plus 27 over 100 plus 100 is equals to 0.23. And fifth is reject null hypothesis where p sub 1 is equal to p sub 2 if the p value is less than 0.05. 6. The value of the test statistics is equals to 0.27 minus 0.19 over the square root of 0.23 of 0.77 multiplied by 1 over 100 plus 1 over 100 is equal to 1.34. And now the last step is conclusions where test statistics is equal to 1.34. The p-value is 0.18, so we cannot reject the null hypothesis. Practical interpretation. There is insufficient evidence to support the claim that St. John's wort is effective in treating major depression. Type 2 error and choice of sample size. The computation of the beta error for the large sample test of null hypothesis p sub 1 equals p sub 2 is somewhat more involved than in a single sample case. The problem is that the denominator of the test statistics is an estimate of the standard deviation of sample proportion 1 minus sample proportion 2 under the assumption that p sub 1 is equal to p sub 2. When null hypothesis p sub 1 equals to p sub 2 is false, the standard deviation of sample proportion 1 minus sample proportion 2 is standard deviation sub sample proportion 1 minus sample proportion 2 equal to the square root of p sub 1 multiplied by 1 minus p sub 1 over n sub 1 plus p sub 2 times 1 minus p sub 2 over n minus n sub 2. Here's the formula if the alternative hypothesis is two-sided. Here's the formula of the alternative hypothesis is two-sided. The beta error. Here's the formula of alternative hypothesis is two-sided. The beta error are shown in the screen, where p bar equals n sub 1 p sub 1 plus n sub 2 p sub 2 over n sub 1 plus n sub 2, and q bar equals n sub 1 times 1 minus p sub 1 plus n sub 2 times 1 minus p sub 2 over n sub 1 plus n sub 2, and the standard deviation sub sample proportion 1 minus sample proportion 2 is given. Here's the formula of alternative hypothesis if p sub 1 is greater than p sub 2, and the alternative hypothesis if p sub 1 is less than p sub 2. For a specified pair of values p sub 1 and p sub 2, we can find the sample sizes n sub 1 equals n sub 2 equals n required to give the test of size alpha that has specified type 2 error beta. For two-sided alternative, the common sample size is where q sub 1 equals 1 minus p sub 1 and q sub 2 equals 1 minus p sub 2. The confidence interval for p sub 1 minus p sub 2 can be found directly since we know that a standard normal random variable, thus p of negative z sub alpha over 2 is less than or equal to z sub alpha over 2 is approximately or equal to 1 minus alpha. So we can substitute for z in this last expression and use an approach similar to the one employed previously. To find approximate 100 of 1 minus alpha, present two-sided confidence interval for p sub 1 and p sub 2. If sample proportion 1 and sample proportion 2 are the sample proportion of observation in two independent random samples of sizes n sub 1 and n sub 2 that belong to the class of interest, an approximate two-sided 100 of 1 minus alpha percent confidence interval on the difference in the true proportion P sub 1 minus P sub 2 is where Z sub alpha over 2 is the upper alpha over 2 percentage point of the standard normal distributions. Example, consider the process of manufacturing crankshaft bearings. Suppose that a modification is made in a surface finishing process and that subsequently a second random sample of 85 bearings is obtained. The number of defective bearings in this second sample is 8. Therefore, since n sub 1 is 85, sample proportion 1 is equal to 0.12, n sub 2 is 85, and sample proportion 2 equals 8 over 85 or 0.09. We can obtain an approximate 95% confidence interval on the difference in the proportion of defective bearings produced under the two processes as follows. This is the formula is being used in this particular example. And now, here's the solutions. Where 0.12 minus 0.09 minus 1.96 square root of 0.12 times 0.88 over 85 plus 0.09 times 0.91 over 85. Then less than or equal to P sub 1 minus P sub 2 less than or equal to 0.12 minus 0.09 plus 1.96 square root of 0.12 times 0.88 over 85 plus 0.09 times 0.91 over 85. This simplifies to negative 0.06 is less than or equal to P sub 1 minus P sub 2 less than or equal to 0.12. Practical interpretation. This confidence interval includes 0. So based on the example data, it seems unlikely that the changes made in the surface finish process have reduced the production of defective crankshaft bearings being produced.
And that's all our presentation, everyone. Thank you and God bless.